Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video where we are going to learn the names and some characteristics of all the dinosaurs we have here. How about we start with a smaller one? You already know that I love these figures because we can put them together and take them apart as many times as we want. That allows us to move both its head and its legs, since they are articulated. This time we have a small carnivore. It's a Velociraptor. Velociraptors reached about 2 meters in length, and their bodies were quite slim and thin, which allowed them to run at great speed. Although they weren't very large, they were able to catch big prey, since they hunted in groups or packs. In addition, they had rather long front legs, which allowed them to catch meat in their jaws. They didn't have big teeth, but they were very sharp so they could sink them into the flesh of their prey. A curious fact is that velociraptors were actually feathered dinosaurs, even though in movies and figures they appear with scaly skin. Look, as you can see, we can take it apart, and we have to take them apart. Since we have other figures like this, we'll be able to create different combinations with them. We'll leave the first one here. And we'll continue with the next one. Let's continue. This time, it's one of the most famous dinosaurs. It's the great Triceratops. He had 3 large horns on his head, which he obviously used for defense, to protect himself from predators that tried to attack him. Also, on his frill, he had a lot of small spikes on the outer part. He also had a strong beak at the tip of his mouth, which, like other herbivores, he used to dig in the ground in search of food. The dinosaur lived on planet Earth during the Cretaceous period, more than 65 million years ago. Let's continue with a rather large specimen. Look, what a cool figure, right? What I like the most is that besides being super big, it's soft. As you can see, we can squish it, and that also lets us move its tail to make the big defensive tail swipe. This herbivorous dinosaur is from the Stegosaurus family. You already know that the Stegosaurus is very famous for its large bony plates, but this one is called Kentrosaurus. As you can see, there are some differences compared to the Stegosaurus. The main ones are the 2 horns it has on both sides. As you can see, the Kentrosaurus also has 2 very large rows, full of bony plates. However, its entire tail is covered with large spikes, unlike the Stegosaurus, which only has spikes at the tip of its tail. Its body is very similar. As you can see, it has much larger hind legs than front legs, which allows it to move its tail very quickly and swiftly to attack and defend itself. Impressive! Another detail about these dinosaurs is that their head is very small compared to the rest of their body. As you can see, their mouth is quite small, since they only eat plants, leaves, grass, and fruit. Well, we'll leave this great specimen here. To get to know a flying reptile, you're really going to love this figure, especially because of all its details. It's made of hard plastic, as you can see, and it comes in different shades. As you can see, this flying reptile is characterized by having a rather long neck. Its entire body is covered in feathers, and on the top of its head it has a crest that really reminds me of a rooster's comb. It had a strong and long beak, and it mainly fed on fish. As you can see, this flying reptile is crouched on the ground, so its wings are folded upwards, and they are integrated into the front part of its wings. However, the most interesting thing about this figure is that if we turn it over, we can see the entire skeleton. Fossilized. Look over here. We can see the cavities where its eyes were. We can also see that its neck was made up of many small bones. This flying reptile had some pretty large bones, especially in its legs and wings, but it also had some really tiny ones, like, for example, at the tip of its tail. The fossil remains have stayed underground for millions of years. Their unearthing hasn't allowed us to know all the information about dinosaurs and other animals that lived long before humans. We'll leave it there. And how about we meet a great carnivore? We're talking about the great Spinosaurus. At first glance, its large crest of spines stands out, which could reach more than a meter in length. It was a large dinosaur that could reach about 18 meters in length, from the tip of its mouth to the end of its tail. Also, the figure is like the Kentrosaurus. We can flatten it and even bend it, something very characteristic of the Spinosaurus. In addition to its crest of spines, it was its large jaw, which had a shape very similar to that of crocodiles. It was quite long and wide. Also, it was a bipedal dinosaur that walked on its hind legs. It had a strong and long tail, and its front legs were smaller, but long enough to grab meat and even bring it to its mouth. Up close, we can even see the detail of its tongue. The Spinosaurus was a dinosaur that loved to dive into the water, and this way it could also hunt marine animals. So it loved eating both land and marine animals. It lived on planet Earth more than 65 million years ago. It was also called the sail dinosaur, since it loved to dive.
Cuerpo debajo del agua y de...
Let's leave the one with the spiny crest over here to the side so it doesn't get in the way. And let's continue with a giant among giants. An herbivorous dinosaur, one of the largest that has ever existed on planet Earth. It's a long-necked dinosaur. Its name is Brachiosaurus. The Brachiosaurus could reach about 22 meters in length, and its neck was so long that it could eat the leaves from the tops of the trees. However, despite having a super large body, its head was tiny. According to experts, the size of its brain was very similar to the size of a walnut. As you can see, the top part of its skull was quite unique, since it had a small bump on the top. Another interesting detail is that the front legs were bigger than the back legs, in order to support the weight of this long neck. It lived on planet Earth during the Jurassic period, about 155 million years ago. Let's continue with another of the small figures. This time, we have a herbivorous dinosaur. It's a Stegosaurus. Oh no, friends, it's not a Stegosaurus, because as you can see, it doesn't have large spikes on its tail. So it might be a dinosaur from the Kentrosaurus family, and also related to the Stegosaurus. But we don't know exactly what its name is. If any of you know, you can get in touch with me. Still, let's take a look at the features of the figure. As you can see, it's really cool because it's very shiny, and it's also a dinosaur. Dinosaur, yes. Can we assemble and disassemble a dinosaur? Let's develop all our skills. Since, look, it comes in the shape of a star, and to attach the leg, we just need to fit it into the hole. And once we have it well positioned, we press until it clicks into place. What do you think if we make a combination? Earlier we saw a Velociraptor and a Triceratops. We can swap their bodies or even their legs and heads. What do you think? Let's remove the head of this herbivorous dinosaur and put the head of a carnivore on it, in this case, the head of a Velociraptor. Look how cool it looks. We've already made a combination. We've created a new mutant dinosaur. Obviously, it's the body of a herbivore, but with the jaw and head of a carnivorous dinosaur. And now we're going to do the opposite, the body of a carnivore, where we can even see its hook-shaped claws. And we're going to put this head on it. Look how cool it turned out. What I like the most is that we can create our own imaginary dinosaurs. I love it. We'll leave it here so we can meet the last dinosaur inside the box. And I'm sure all of you already know what it is. It's a big Tyrannosaurus Rex. The figure is impressive. It's made of hard plastic, but it does have an articulated jaw. We can open it slightly, revealing all of its teeth. The T-Rex had a total of 60 sharp teeth. Also, if we open the mouth, we can appreciate the detail of its tongue, which is slightly tilted upward at the tip. As you know, it was very large. It could reach about 14 meters in length and was very, very heavy. Its hind legs were very big and robust. The only problem that T-Rex had was that its body was so big that sometimes it had trouble hunting, since it couldn't run at high speed. Its arms were much smaller, and it only had 2 fingers on each of them. It was one of the biggest predators that has ever existed on planet Earth. And now we have finished today's video. Here we have the dinosaurs we've learned about. If you like this video, you can leave me a like, a comment. And if you like this video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. This way, you also help me to keep creating lots of content for all of you. And now, it's time to say goodbye. See you in the next video with more amazing dinosaurs. Goodbye.